Okay, so in the previous video, okay, and in exercise A then, all the powers were unit fractions, okay? In other words, it was like 1/2 or 1/3 or 1/4. But in this case, we've got the fraction to be 3/2, okay? So how do you deal with that as a power, okay? It's very straightforward. Just make sure you put all the steps in. First thing you do is, okay, is instead of thinking of it as 4 to the power 3/2, write it as 4 to the power 1/2. So it's a unit fraction. So I'm getting rid of that 3, replacing it with 1, but then put a bracket around it. And that 3, put up here, okay, as another power. Then we can look inside that bracket. Now that we've got a power half in there, we know what a power half is. We saw it in the previous examples. Okay, so in that bracket, 4 to the power half, well, we know power half means square root. Okay, don't forget then to put the bracket and then the power 3 up there. Now we can work out the square root of 4. Okay, square root of 4, of course, is 2, yeah, because 2 times 2 is 4. So in that bracket there, my square root of 4 becomes 2, and then don't forget that 3 there. Now remember, that 3 there means I've got to cube it. Okay, I've got to cube it. In other words, I've got to times by itself and by itself again. And that's easy to work out, isn't it? And it's cubing. So you just do 2 times 2 times 2, and you get the answer to be 8. Okay, so 4 to the power 3/2 is 8. Okay, let's try a second one. So if that wasn't clear, okay, you didn't quite follow all the steps. Second one is just as straightforward, okay, it's very similar. So let me explain again. 9 to the power 3/2. So remember, if it's not a unit fraction, and what I mean by unit fraction, I mean 1/. In this case, it isn't it? Because we've got 3/2. Rewrite it as a unit fraction. So the power is 1/2, but put a bracket around it, and whatever that number is there, write on the outside of that bracket. Then focus inside that bracket. Okay, so inside that bracket you've got 9 to the power half. Now 9 to the power half, remember anything to the power half is square root. Okay, so we're going to square root 9. And of course the square root of 9 is 3, isn't it? Okay, so inside that bracket, square root of 9 is 3. Easy peasy. And then we've got to cube that bracket. So we've got to cube 3. In other words, 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. Okay, finally, let's look at this one. So we've got 8 to the power 4/3. Again, this is not a unit fraction, because if it was a unit fraction, it would be 1/3. So what we'll do is we'll change it into a unit fraction. 1/3 like that. Okay, but we put it in a bracket, and that 4 that was on top, we'll just take outside. Okay, now, inside that bracket, let's think about what that means. 8 to the power 3rd. Well, we know power 3rd just means cube root. We saw that in the last example. Okay, so 8 to the power 3rd is cube root of 8. Don't forget then to put that 4 on the outside. So then we've got to work out the cube root of 8. Now the cube root of 8, you just got to think what number times by itself and by itself again to get 8. And of course we know that to be 2. Okay, so we've got 2 inside that bracket, and then to the power 4. Now that's not difficult to work out then, because all you've got to do is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And let's go through it. Well, 2 times 2 is 4, times by 2 is 8, and times that by 2 is 16. So we've worked out that 8 to the power 4/3 is equal to 16.